It's time for our inner borders on our September Cuties. Hey everyone, so now that we have our center blocks done, aren't those so pretty? Oh my gosh, I love this. I love how it came together. I think this might be one of my favorites. I loved this one. So once our 4 blocks for our center are done, then it's time to do our inner borders. So today we're going to do inner borders. So grab your packet if you made your packets and you're all prepared for today. We have inner borders. So just 2 things in our packet. Should be a pretty quick, easy day. All right, so we are going to have this navy blue lattice fabric, all right, and there are 2 sets of them. There's A and B. A is the shorter and B is the longer. So these are on page 44. So let's start by going to page 44 so I can tell you the exact sizes. If you will recall in the prep video, I mentioned that I suggest cutting them a little bit bigger or longer than what is described in the book. So let me just show you here. So here's A. So for the A strips, we're going to have 2 pieces, and in the book it says 1 3/4 by 10.5. I recommend cutting them to 12 inches. So 1 3/4 by 12 is my recommendation. And I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's totally up to you if you choose to do that. I find it lays better. It makes sure not to get any puckering because we are going to quilt these. So up to you. So 1 3/4 by 12 is my recommendation. If you've already pre-cut and you did it to 10.5, it'll work. I had one time that they just weren't long enough, and that was just such a bummer. So now I always cut them a little bit longer, and then I cut them down in assembly just to make sure that they are long enough. And if you're backing them with fusible stabilizer, it's not going to pull it in from the stitches as much, but it still could happen. So a little bit longer just makes it a little bit safer. So 1 3/4 by 12, that's for A. That's the shorter 2 strips. And then for the longer 2 strips, these we're going to have at two pieces at 1 3/4, and then in the book it says by 13. My recommendation is by 15. So 1 3/4 by 15, 2 strips. This is for inner border B. All right, and I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. I already mentioned that. So that's the 4 strips. So those, like I said, we're going to cut them just a little bit longer just to make sure that they will fit. But then for the batting, we're going to do them just exactly what is needed, because I like to use my glue stick. So the purple glue stick, it's got that disappearing glue in there, and so it just makes it so easy to add the batting on, and then we can bypass those first 2 steps of the quilting, the placement and tack down of the batting, because we will have already added our batting onto our strips. So I'll show you step by step through that with photos. But because we're going to do it that way, then we want our batting to be the exact size that we need. Because if it's the exact size, then it will not be in our seams. We don't want batting in our seams. If it works out that they're in their seams, it's not a huge big deal, but it will lay better, and it will be I don't know the right wording, but definitely it's better. It's less bulky. That's the word that I'm looking for. It's less bulky if you don't have batting in your seams. All right, so same as before, same as the fabric, we're going to have 2 that are shorter and 2 that are longer. So for A and B. So for A, for the batting, we're going to have 2 strips that are 1 1/4, 1.25, 1 1/4 by 10. All right, exactly 1 1/4 by 10, and we don't want it longer than that. So when you're putting your glue stick or your fabric spray, whatever you're using, if you're putting that on and it starts to get a little bit longer and stretch, then you want to check it right before the end so that you can cut it a little bit smaller, because it's really better to not have it in your seams. So 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 10 for strip A. That's for batting strip A. And then for strip B, batting B, we're going to have 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 12 1/2, 1 1/4 by 12 1/2, 2 strips. This is for B. And again, we're going to add this on with our glue stick. If you haven't bought the glue sticks yet, I will put a link here. You can get them from Amazon using my affiliate link. Gives a little kickback to our channel, and they work great. And the ones on Amazon are bigger than the ones I've found in the store, so they last a little longer. And it's a 3-pack, so it's a good deal. And they come really quick from Amazon. All right, so we've got our batting and we have our fabric. That's all we need today. It's going to be a quick, easy day. I am going to bring you over to the computer for those that choose to merge 4 in 1 hooping, depending on your hoop size, of course. You could do 2 in a hooping. That would save time as well, or you can do them each individually, whatever works for you. But I'm going to show you how to do the color sort, the align and distribute, all of the fun things on Embrilliance. So let's go over to the computer and give that a go. Okay, for those that choose to put 4 of the border strips, the inner border strips together in 1 hooping, I'm going to show you how to do that. This should be pretty quick. So we are going to look for inner border stars in a 1-inch design. Border stars in a 1-inch design. And on page 44, it describes the inner border. So let's go ahead and open up Embrilliance Essentials. That's the embroidery software that I use and prefer. It's opening up to my 9x14 hoop, which actually is exactly what I want. If you're not on the hoop size you want, go up to this preferences folder and click on the hoop that you want, say okay, and then click on this compass button and click on H to have it zoom into the hoop. All right, so I'm going to go to this merge stitch file button and I am going to look for that border stars 1-inch design. So border stars right there. It looks like it is the 4th folder down from the top. And there are several different sizes. So depending on your hoop size, there's a 1x10, 1x12, 1x14, and a 1x7 design. So whichever one is going to fit best in your hoop. But keep in mind that we want 2 strips that are a total of 10 inches of quilting and 2 strips that are a total of 12.5 inches of quilting. So I know for a fact that the 1x10 is usually 9.5 inches of quilting, so I'm going to just not even bother with that. I'm going to jump to the 1x12. So I'm going to double click on that and it goes to the center. And it says that it is 1 3/4 by 11 5/8, so a little bit more than 11.5, and I want 10, so that will work fine because the extra will just go onto the stabilizer, so that's no problem. Looks like I lost my grid. I didn't notice that before. That's funny. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this all the way over to the side, keeping to make sure that those black squares are not over the hoop. All right there. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quickly change the colors on here so that I can do a copy and paste. So I'm going to click on 1-1, click on the color, and I'm going to choose dark aqua. And then 1-2, click on the color. I'm going to choose blaze. 1-3, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the next color down, which is marine. And remember, it doesn't matter what colors you use. Now here's the light orange because it has, in fact, I didn't even mention this, I forgot to mention this. So light orange means that it's a border strip, so it's only on the sides, whereas the regular orange is a full tack down. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I can leave the turquoise as well. So I want to point out that if you're going to do what I'm going to do with the border strips and put the glue stick with the batting, then you don't need steps 1 and 2. You do not need these 2 steps, all right, because that's the placement and tack down of the batting. I'm going to leave it in just so I can remember to tell everyone to bypass it, but you absolutely don't need it. So you could click on it, drag over, and delete steps 1 and 2, and then you don't have to change any colors at all because they're all different. So up to you, whatever you do, but I'm going to leave them in because I need to remember to bypass, to tell everyone to bypass it. All right, so that's the first one, and that one's all done. I'm going to go ahead and say Control-C to copy it and Control-V like victory to paste. It goes right on top of that first one. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over. And I'm going to do it haphazardly because we're going to do that align and distribute anyway. I always need more practice. I forget the settings on that for some reason. All right, so that's the first two. Those are great. Now I'm going to go to merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in a longer one for that one that we need 12.5 inches of quilting. So I'm going to go back to this stars and braid, and I'm going to click on the 1x14 this time. And that one, let's see, if I click on it, it'll tell me the size down here on the bottom. This one is 1 3/4 by 13 13/16. So 13 3/4 basically. So a little bit bigger than I need, and that's perfect. That's great, because I would rather have it be longer than shorter. Personally, some people don't mind having a little bit of empty without quilting on the sides, and that's fine. Your quilt your way. I prefer to have full quilting whenever possible. All right, so again, keep in mind, if you are going to add the batting, then you can click on steps 1 and 2 and delete them. I'm going to keep them just so that I have, in fact, I could have, well, now since I already did these, I'm going to have to do the same colors. So I'm going to go ahead and run through these. I'm going to keep them in so I can bypass. All right, so 3-1 is the step that I'm on. I'm going to click dark aqua. And step 3-2, click on the color, and I'm going to choose Blaze. I'm just choosing the same colors that I did in the first one so that they will join at the same time. All right, and then 3-3, click on the color, and I'm going to choose Marine. And then light orange and turquoise are the same, so I don't need to worry about those. All right, so I'm going to click, I clicked outside to make sure nothing was selected, because otherwise just that one part that I was working on is selected. So click anywhere outside in the workspace, and then click on that third design so that you have all 5 steps, and say Control C and to copy and Control V like victory to paste. All right, and it goes right on top of that third one, so I'm going to just move it over here. All right, so now we have 4. They're very haphazard, and that's okay. Don't forget, when I said the 5 steps, you might only have 3 steps if you deleted steps 1 and 2. Okay, so now we have them all. They are all color sorted. Before we do a color sort, it's really, really important. Before you do a color sort, we need to make sure to align these in the way that we want them, because once we color sort, then it's all down into one design. Instead of these 4 designs, then we have one design, and we won't be able to move them around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close these designs by clicking on this little minus sign so that I can select them all. All right, so to select them all, I'm going to click down from the bottom and drag up so that I have all 4 designs so that I can tell it what I want to align. So I'm going to go to this Utility, Align and Distribute tab, and we're on the Align tab now, and I'm going to say Center, Center, I think. I always forget what the settings is. Yeah, don't do that. It's so funny that I always forget that. All right, so I'm going to say Close, and I'm going to click this Undo button. And then it's back to how it was. And then I need to select them again. Sorry about that. Utility, Align and Distribute, and maybe it's just this left center only. I never remember for some reason. And I'm going to say Apply, and it did that. All right, so now they are lined up, but they need distributing very much. So see how there's just a tiny bit of space between these and a huge amount of space between that. So I'm going to go to the Distribute tab. They're still all selected. And let's see, Center, Center. This is already here, so it must be Center, Center. And that's probably why I always think that's the Align one too. I'm going to say Apply and see how it moved them over, and now there's equal space between each of them. So that was super easy to do as long as you remember the settings. All right, and that's all good. So now we have our 4 designs, and we have a total of 20 color steps. So I'm going to go to Utility, Color Sort. And don't forget to have these same settings that I have here to get the same results. All right, and now it's reduced it by 15 color changes. I'm going to click New View, and I'm just going to quickly run through here. There's the placement for the batting, the tack down for the batting, the placement for the main fabric strips, the tack down of the strips, and the quilting. So that was super easy to do. We've got 5 color steps, so much easier, so much less time. And I am using my 9x14 hoop. So again, it depends on your hoop size, your max hoop size, and what you want to do. You may only fit 2 in one hooping, and that would be fine too. So I'm going to do a file, save stitch, file as. Always do a file, save as. It's very important so that you're not writing over an existing file. We're saving it as a different file. All right, and then I am going to look for where my cuties right there. And then I'm going to go to the quilting. I think it's in here. Let's see. Embroidery files, Pez, and stars and braids right there. All right, and I'm going to call this, it's actually 1 by 14 and 1 by 12. I think I'm just going to say 1 by 14 so I remember the hoop size. 1 by 14 and then times 4. There's 4 strips. Border stars. And I can type border stars. There we go. Save. And then I'm going to send it to my machine because my machine is on. So I'm going to say utility send to Solaris XP1. If you don't have that feature, you would just transfer it to a USB stick or copy it to a USB stick and then bring it to your machine. All right, and we're ready for playtime. And my workout. So, you know, my goal for this entire Cuties, the whole year of Cuties Tabletoppers, my goal is to build strength. I'm working very hard on building strength and building bone density and all of that. So I did a run again last night with my iFit trainer, Hannah Edens. It's really cool. So you get on the treadmill and you can pick, like, I want to run in Hawaii, I want to run in Bali, I want to run wherever you want to go, or whatever trainer you're looking for. So like Tommy Ribs, John Peel, Hannah Eden, there's amazing trainers on iFit. And so you get to just do these things. And they have these challenges. So right now for August, there is a challenge. It's 10 workouts, all with Hannah Eden, who is a very hard trainer. And once you complete, if you complete all 10 within the month month time, then you get this little digital badge. This little thing, it means absolutely nothing, but it's something to work toward, and it works for me. And it's funny because I'm also doing lots of outdoor activities, so trying to fit in the indoor activities just to earn that little badge, it keeps me going, right? So you got to find what works for you. So I did 2 workouts last night. I did a run with Hannah Edens again in Sequoia National Park, I think is where it was, with these big beautiful trees and good incline and great workout. And then I also did a workout with a strength training workout with a trainer, and I usually do the strength training ones with the women. I really like Kelsey Sheehan. She's phenomenal. There's several that are really good. Well, last night I chose this one that was a guy just because I wanted to do upper body, and I've pretty much done all the girl ones that I could find. So I did this guy one, and he's got these big 30-pound weights, and we're doing all the I was like, oh boy, but I'm not sore, so that's surprising. I was pretty sore and tired at the time, but I feel pretty good today, so that's probably a good sign. Maybe, hopefully that's better than pulling something or injuring myself. So I'm working hard. So what are you doing on your goal? Whatever your goal is, I mean, there are so many things that it could be, right? Cleaning up your craft room, working on projects, working on older projects, staying up. A lot of people, their focus is to stay up on the Cristin Creates project and stay up to date with them and keep in with the group project. And I love that. That's so cool. I'm like so proud of them. I'm like, oh, you're doing so good. And we're working at a comfortable pace and all that. But anyway, whatever your goal is, I'd love to hear about it. And my shirt today is do what makes you happy. I love this shirt, and I love that we get to do what makes us happy. So it's so much fun to be able to play with you guys. I see that there's photos saying Cristin was in my embroidery room today. We worked on this project together, and of course we live states away, and I've never met them, and I love that. It makes me so happy. So I love what I do. I'm glad you guys are loving it as well. Very fun. So do what makes you happy. This is a Designs by Juju design. The shirt is a very old Target shirt, like really old. I'm sure it's not made anymore, but anyway, I will add information underneath this video of the design set that I bought from Designs by Juju that had this design in it, and let's keep having fun and doing what makes us happy.